Don't give me lip service, Republicans and Democrats. Secure them. Use whatever we have to do to secure them. And don't you dare go after a state for trying to do what you should do. Secure the border. This is an issue that both sides are afraid to talk about because the media whacks you over the head. Mean, racist, prejudiced. That day's done. That day's done. Republicans and Democrats, that day's done. Nobody's ever, hold your thoughts, sir. Nobody's ever gonna scare me away from saying that because I know this is the most compassionate country in the world. But we have a problem. I talk all the time about the war, and there is a war. Respectfully, I'll say with a smile, we're at war right now with our future generations because we got to stop the spending. But folks, we're along our borders. We got to acknowledge it. And I know it's easy for us sometimes here in Gurnee or Highland Park or Evanston or Barrington to look poo-poo and askance at the folks in Texas and Arizona who are on the front lines in this war. There are people dying. So secure the borders, enforce our laws, hold business accountable for hiring illegal immigrants. Hold, that's one Republican thing. Hold business accountable. My 2 minutes is almost up, and then I'm going way back to you. And final piece, this is where we all trip up. It's easy for us all to sound tough and say secure the borders, enforce the laws. But then, we've got 13 to 14 illegal immigrants in this country right now. What do you do now, Mr. Congressman? That's where we all run for the door because we don't want to answer that question. But we as a society had better figure out what to do with this. Because right now, folks, it's a drain on our healthcare system. It's a drain on our education system. It's a drain on our welfare system. And you know what? There are a lot of good folks out there who can't find jobs. I'm filibustering. Sir, all the way in the back, Jim?
You just answered my question. I have a concert to go across the street. My son's in the concert.
Oh, fantastic.
I did want to say before I left, congratulations.
Thank you.
I also want to wish you and your family and everybody's family here a Merry Christmas.
Thank you. God's Merry Christmas. Yes, sir.
Merry Christmas.
Statement, but also just wanted to point out that what I see is some of the, whether it's through legislation or through regulation, the attacks on and the nudges on our personal rights, whether it be the Fourth Amendment, the TSA, or First Amendment, such as like Rockefeller, who said he'd like to ban MSNBC or Fox News. And just to, I'd like to get your thoughts on this, as far as the regulation and also the legislation, as far as being our voice in Congress, protect our rights.
Great question. You know where I am. I'm an open book. You know where I am. I believe I was called the Tea Party candidate early. Why did that happen? And it's not something I thought about when I got into this race a year ago. And one of the first speeches I gave, I lit into a Republican. I lit into Republicans and Democrats because I was scared to death with how much money we're spending. And what I thought was how many freedoms we're losing every day. And both parties had done it. Lucky for me, there was a movement that had started in this country. And again, it's got nothing to do with party. A lot of my Republican friends don't understand this. It's got nothing to do with party. Republican, Democrat, put that dynamic out the window right now, folks. I think, and I'm not degrading anyone's viewpoint. To me, the two sides are, we got problems in this country. I want my government doing a lot to solve those problems. My government's doing too much. That's the argument. And that's what this Tea Party movement's about. And if I go to Washington and I don't cut what government does and increase freedom over here, if we don't do that, I really believe, folks, this revolution, I always say that with a smile, because I don't want to sound like a big meeting. This revolution's growing, and it will overtake the Republican Party. I'll say it again, it's a pain in the butt, you know, to run for office. The essence of what this country was founded on is at stake. Our kids and our grandkids will not speak to us in 40 years unless we address these problems now. They'll grow up in a country where there is no freedom. Yes, sir?
Question. How are the people and candidates going to make themselves better? Because if you look at the championships of all the communities,
Good question.
I mean, it's all the old guard. So how's the new guard? How are the people and candidates going to influence the Congress?
It's a great question. I think there's going to be a healthy tension. Look, this is a big old class. I'm part of what, 83 freshmen? 83 new Republicans. That's almost a third of the entire Republican conference. That's a lot of people. So what I think we can do is, and I'm seeing it already, we can apply a lot of pressure on our leaders to try to stay on the straight and narrow. There are a lot of Tea Party folks who are elected. What's interesting is, what I think is really neat, there are a lot of first-time regular Joes and regular Steves and regular Toms elected. You sit with some of these freshmen, and they are orthodontists who got ticked off last year, doctors who got ticked off, small businessmen and women who got ticked off, somebody like me who got ticked off. There's a lot of that in this new blood. Will it all stay that way? No. I do believe that the Republican leaders, Boehner, Cantor, and the rest of them, in general, I really believe they get it. I really believe they get it. In many ways, they were looking for reinforcements. But we got to keep the pressure on.
Okay, I just have one follow-up comment, unrelated. Conservative Republican principles should be defended not based on growth of the economy, but they should be based on the morality of those principles. And we need the Republican Party to start doing it. Okay? It should be based on the morality of the concept, not just on the equity.
Good point. Good point. Questions, guys? Yes, sir. Then I'm coming here.
You're talking about federal spending. Next year we're set to spend about $800 billion on the military, and every year after. What is your opinion of that? Would you look forward to a cut in military spending?
Yeah, I mean, and again, this is always a tough area for Republicans, because Republicans tend to want to cut government, but we tend to hold defense as fairly sacred. So the answer I'm going to give you is this. Look, you put defense on the table with entitlements, with discretionary spending, like everything else, and you look for ways to cut, you look for ways to make things more efficient, you look to reform aspects of our defense program that we can do to save costs, always. So there's nothing sacred about defense. The difference I always make is this. Let's not get into a debate or an argument about whether we should have gone to Iraq, whether we should still be there, whether we should have gone to Afghanistan, or whether we should be there. And I understand they're expensive. The only nuance I add is this. Once we're there, like we are now in Afghanistan, money's not a factor as long as we're there and we're engaged. When our men and women are on the battlefield, I don't want to hear anybody talking money. We do whatever we can to protect their lives and win whatever the mission is. We can debate the mission, but money is not a factor when we're engaged. But as far as defense, looking to cut money and save money wherever we can, always. I had you here in the front row.
Hey, Joe, I was wondering, what committees are you going to be on? Because I heard that
I've decided not to be on a committee. I thought that might be more laughs than it did. That one fell flat. What committees? I found out 4 hours ago what committees I'm on. I am on the Government Oversight and Reform Committee. I am on the Small Business Committee. And I'm on Homeland Security. Huh? Bob Dolden, the 10th is on Financial Services. Small business, because there's nothing near and dear to my heart right now besides school reform, but it's not a federal issue. Oversight reform, because I think oversight, and I'm excited about this. It's going to be such an important committee because, again, you may like Obamacare, you may not like it, but what needs to be done is Congress, which is where all the oversight needs to happen, needs to hold hearings and take a look at how this thing was passed. Take a look at each piece of it respectfully. Will this work? How much will this cost? We rushed into that piece of legislation. That's our job as Congress. Same thing with financial regulation reform. Look, Republicans in 94 and 95 came in, we shut down government. What did the media say about us?
Yeah.
Those big, bad Republicans. We can't do that again. We did a lousy job back then of explaining to the American people why we were doing what we're doing. We got a great opportunity this time around to correct that. And I think the Oversight Reform Committee will go a long way toward doing that. Thank you. Follow up.